Did you direct him to make these payments?
He made the deal. He made the deals. And by the way, he pled to 2 counts that aren't a crime, which nobody understands. I watched a number of shows. Sometimes you get some pretty good information by watching shows. Those 2 counts aren't even a crime. They weren't campaign finance.
Did you know about the payments?
Later on, I knew. Later on. But you have to understand, Ainsley, what he did, and they weren't taken out of campaign finance. That's a big thing. That's a much bigger thing. Did they come out of the campaign? They didn't come out of the campaign. They came from me.
Well, the man who once said he would take a bullet for Donald Trump may have just put a bullet in Trump's legal defense. Michael Cohen, Trump's former attorney and fixer, implicated Trump in an illegal scheme to silence 2 women who say they had affairs with him and whose stories could have flipped the results of the election that made Trump president. And Cohen may get back up from one David Pecker, the head of the publishing company behind the National Enquirer, who's been granted immunity in connection to the Cohen case. The Associated Press reports that the Enquirer kept a safe containing documents about hush money payments and damaging stories it killed as part of its chummy relationship with Trump. And here to discuss is Stormy Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenatti. Michael, it's good to see you.
Good morning.
All right, let's first talk about this Michael Cohen pleading out. What is the significance of him pleading out to the case that you are also actively involved in?
Well, it's very significant, Joy, for 2 fundamental reasons. First of all, Michael Cohen pleading out in the criminal case will allow the stay in our civil case to be lifted, and we will be permitted to proceed with seeking a deposition of Michael Cohen, which I'm 100% confident will be granted, as well as a deposition of Donald Trump. During that deposition, we're going to have an opportunity to ask Donald Trump some very difficult questions under oath about what he knew, when he knew it, what he did about it, and all of his conduct, criminal conduct, potentially relating to the cover-up.
Now, is the reason that you believe that you'll be able to depose the president because now Michael Cohen is no longer at risk of criminal prosecution? He's already pleaded it out.
That's correct. That investigation has now generally concluded as it relates to Michael Cohen, which was the only reason that they provided to the court for the court to implement the stay.
Now, if you are able to depose Donald Trump and or Michael Cohen, would you be willing to make those depositions public?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we're going to fight vehemently to insist that those depositions are public immediately, not just the transcript, but we're going to ask for videotape depositions of both of those individuals. Joy, this is a matter of significant national public importance, and I've been saying this for 6 months now, and I'm going to continue to say it. The American public knows exactly, or should know exactly, what happened here. They deserve to know the truth. They deserve to know what evidence there is. They deserve to know what the president did in connection with this, and they deserve to know it all.
Now, let me just unpack with you just for a second what, in your view, the significance of it is. Because now we have David Pecker, who is the National Enquirer boss, essentially cutting a deal as well, that he's willing to talk about the catch and kill agreements, such as with Karen McDougal. If you're the average person out there, why should you care whether or not Donald Trump paid off Stormy Daniels, your client, and Karen McDougal?
Joy, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. It has nothing to do with the sex or whether Donald Trump had an affair or didn't have an affair. This goes to the heart of our democracy for the following reason. You cannot have individuals running for the highest office in the land that cover up evidence and then lie about it to the American public and engage in criminal conduct associated with lying about it and covering up the payments to individuals. This is about the cover-up. It's about the stakes at issue in connection with running for the presidency and how important that is. It's about the bounds that this individual, Donald Trump, together with all of the other con men around him, went to in order to deceive the American public. And I don't care if you're on the right or the left or the center or where you line up politically, we cannot have a system in which people that are seeking the highest office in the land are lying to the American public. We just can't stand for it.
And let me just put up a timeline really quickly of when these non-disclosure agreements were taking place. You had the August 6th Karen McDougal NDA with AMI, which is the National Enquirer company. Then in October, you start to get this sort of cascade of negative stories that are of a sexual nature. The Access Hollywood tape comes out October 7th, which comes out at the exact same time the Obama administration was officially announcing Russia was hacking into our election. You have Michael Cohen creating this company October 17th to try to pay off your client, Stormy Daniels. Cohen wires the money October 27th. The election is literally like a little bit more than a week later. Election day is November 8th. The Wall Street Journal reports on the National Enquirer restored payment to McDougal 4 days before that. Do you believe that the payoff to these women was an attempt to flip the election? And do you believe that as a result of Donald Trump and Michael Cohen making those payments, that they made his election illegitimate?
Well, there's no question that these payments were made in an attempt to influence the election. I think Michael Cohen has already pled to that. And if you look at the timing of these payments in comparison to when actually the conduct occurred years prior, there can be no legitimate argument that these payments were made for any reason other than attempting to install Donald Trump in the White House. So that's number one. And number two, I absolutely believe that this conduct makes Donald Trump's election in the White House illegitimate. You know, Donald Trump and others around him believe that he is above the law, that he cannot be held accountable. Well, I have a message for Donald Trump this morning. We are going to work morning, noon, and night to make sure that he is held accountable. We are going to acquire the evidence and the facts. We're going to present that to the American public. They're going to be the jury, Joy, that will ultimately decide what happens to Donald Trump. And here's another thing that I want to add this morning. I am highly confident that in the coming weeks, we are going to negotiate a resolution with Michael Cohen relating to the civil litigation, the multiple cases that we have with him. And I am highly confident that ultimately he is going to cooperate with me in connection with our attempts to get to the truth and to bring Donald Trump to justice.
Let me ask you to just put on your sort of prognosticator hat, which has been pretty good. You've been pretty good at making these kind of prognostications. If you had to guess, what's in that AMI vault?
Plenty of damaging information, Joy. I think it is a treasure trove of documents and evidence relating to the extent that Michael Cohen and Donald Trump went to cover up facts, to hide facts from the American people in connection with the 2016 election, and I think it's going to blow this thing wide open.
Do you think it is about other women? You have hinted before that there are other women that Donald Trump paid off during the course of that election. Do you think this is mostly about paying women off?
There's no question.
It's for a lot of people hard to believe that all of this activity that we're seeing around Michael Cohen is all about the women, with all due respect. Do you think that this, at the end of the day, the investigations into Michael Cohen are just about payoffs to women, or do you think this investigation into him goes into Trump Tower Moscow, goes into this Ukraine peace deal that he proffered, goes, quite frankly, into Russiagate?
I think it's broad reaching, and I think that with each passing day, it likely becomes even broader. They did not grant the immunity. Prosecutors did not grant the immunity that they did solely to get to the issues about a few payoffs. This is far-reaching, Joy, and I think, you know, anytime you pull on a string, you don't know where it's going to end, and this is going to end in a disaster for Donald Trump, as it should. His criminal enterprise and his criminal conduct is finally going to catch up to him. I can promise you that.
You think the Weisselberg plea deal is the most significant development so far?
Well, certainly one of the top most significant developments. I mean, Michael Cohen's plea agreement, and also what I just stated, which is I think he is highly likely to cooperate with us in the coming weeks and to negotiate a resolution to work with us to bring the facts and the evidence to the American people. And if that happens, Donald Trump better buckle up.
All right. And I should have said Weisselberg immunity, not plea deal. Thank you very much, Michael Avenatti. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, Michael Cohen's ties to Russia. That is next. Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.